the projects, just start up the projects. But after a couple of months, they ran into issues, and all of a sudden, the friendship was not there again. They were not like they want to see the actual product. He said, "You haven't given me enough funds to do this thing. I need this, I need this, I need that." But because he has spent like maybe 4 to 6 months on the projects, the team or his clients was already consulting with other people that brought proposals and even went further to agree on a contract. And they did that behind his back. And after a couple of months, they said they were not interested in dealing with him, and that's how he couldn't get his money. Sometimes it could be pay. You can say sometimes it could be with deliverables. You can say we are going to deliver on this project. I think I have another friend who had that same issue. He was meant to build an e-commerce site, and that was the agreement. And based on an e-commerce site, he created the e-commerce site. And when they reviewed the project, they told him they were not going to pay him his balance because they were expecting an admin dashboard. But that was not in the agreement. He told them that if they wanted an admin dashboard, he wouldn't have charged the amount they charged for it. So, but they said no, that they wanted an e-commerce platform, and he needs to produce everything that comes with an e-commerce platform. So these are different scenarios that could occur. If you have any question, please type it down. I will see that you have questions. So these are different scenarios that could occur during an agreement stage or during a project development stage or product development stage. You wouldn't want to go through that. So I don't know if I have I don't know, before now the host wasn't online, so I think the host is here. I don't know if he has a few words to say before I go on. All right, I will take that as a no. So let's proceed further because we have a lot to cover. And please, if you have any questions, do leave a message. Once after a while, I'll find them to answer them. So what I will expect you to do is try and follow up, and if you can still hear me and still following, just leave a thumbs up on your message chat so that I know that there's no break in transmission. All right, that's very fine. So I'll share my screen now so that we could just go on. Please confirm you can see my screen. Okay. No, all right. Should be coming up now. Yeah, please confirm if you can see my screen. I saw a thumbs down somewhere. Hope there's no problem. All right. Okay, now creating a proposal. Yeah, so okay. Let me assume I didn't hear that. Come in. So creating a proposal, as you can see here, is essential for protecting your business and yourself from financial and legal troubles. Yeah, we'll get that. We'll get much details into that. And they say, when should you write a proposal? You should always have a proposal, and why should you write a proposal? Because scenarios that have led to disagreement between client and vendor is because there was no agreement or lay down rules on what to do. Now, creating a proposal, your proposal will have these components. These are components of a good proposal. You have your title page, your project overview, your project approach, your scope of work, your assumptions, your deliverables, your ownership and rights, your additional costs and fees, your project pricing, your payment schedule, and acknowledgement and sign off. Now, these things are meant to help you safeguard your products, and it will give the stakeholder a clear view of what is expected from both parties, not just one person, from both parties. Now let's go through the title page. Now the title page is a simple page that introduces your document. You know, to have the client's name, the client logo. For those of you that don't have logo, it's not really a must, but it's always good to have a brand name. It's kind of like adds to, makes you look professional. So you can't just put your name there. Even if it's your name, make it have a, swagger or something. You have the project title, and you have your document type, which is a proposal. The version of the proposal, you can decide to add that or not, maybe version 1, version 2, maybe you're meant to rework the proposal, the submission date, the company name, the proposal authors, project reference number, costs, confidentiality. So that will help you. Now, moving on, sorry. Now, your project overview. I mean, let's even start. I think this is wrong. Sorry. Thank you. Suppose, yeah, your title page. So this is an example of your title page. You know, you have your proposal, as you can see here. This is the brand name. This is the project title, prepared by this, you can also have, so this is your client's brand name for them, but this is your own clients. This is who you are. This is the date you did it, prepared for this or so people, and you put your confidentiality. So this is just a template. Yours can differ. You now move over to the next section, which is the overview section. It's a description of what your project will be doing. So here's an example. Whatever name the client is, you tell them this is the problem. They are trying to create a new online web presence. This will help listings, customers with the ability to research and purchase products online, as well as other services and benefits available through the company. The goal of the online listing is today. So basically, you're just like talking about the projects to know what it's all about, give a proper overview of the projects. Doesn't have to be much. 1-2 paragraphs is enough for that. Then moving on, you will now tell them about your approach. Maybe the approach you are trying to take. So this is another template example. Your approach is depending on the type of project you're, so it varies on the type of project you're doing, but you just tell them how you would work on their project. So you can just say this methodology for ensuring success. So you're just telling them how you work, and you tell them you prepare, you understand, you render, you iterate, you test, you enable. So this is just like an overview, a standard with its template. You can borrow some of this text. So it's not yourself you must use it word for word. You can take one or two things to borrow from this. When you say prepare, you say we dedicate a portion of our every initiative to understand your industry and your competitors, and they do business in order to be informed as possible prior to beginning. So you just tell them, this is just telling them you plan ahead, you get the information you need, you understand the business, you understand the competitors of the business, you get data before you go into other thing. So you also have understanding and all that. So like I said, this is standard, but for those of you that don't want to kill yourself, because this is for different levels. Some projects might just be just one easy to do project. You don't want to kill yourself. You could just use this small approach, this one simple, especially for freelancer: plan, define, develop, and extend. It's a summary of everything that was in the formal place, but just not stressful. Plan overall strategy, define requirements, develop, test, refine, and launch the product. And I tell them you extend the project for recommending enhancements and improvements based on information learned through development, testing, and post-launch. This is the perfect approach. It still covers what's here. So I don't know. I need to know if there are any questions waiting for me. Let me see if I can check. Sorry. Span panel. Okay. So, okay, just one moment, please. Let me see the charts. All right, someone is asking if the lesson is being recorded. Well, I think it will meet the team and discuss that. I mean, the host will let us know if this session is being recorded. Now let's move on. Since there are no questions so far, we can move on to the scope of work. Please be reminded to ask questions when you don't understand anything. Yes, you have access to the slide, but please just focus on the slide for now and ask questions. Slides come later. Now, the scope of work is a section where you identify the division of labor. So how are you going to work? And here is a perfect example. We approach this client to provide all the services required to build this project. Our team will focus solely on user experience aspects of this site. Client to provide detailed feedback on all aspects of the project in accordance to the project listing. Client will provide any recommended assets for use in the project, including fonts, colors, schemes, and brand standards. Now, it might sound very simple, but this is very important. You don't want to start a project, and when you are done with the project, they start saying, you didn't use our color, you didn't use our brand, this is not our font. Many stories come up like this. So it's always good to scope out these things. And that's why you need to tell clients, okay, what are you giving us? This is what we're offering you. So that if there's any additional thing. Now, if they now say they want you to handle the branding as well, that goes into your plan, but at least we know who will be handling that. So this is just to let everybody know what they are offering in this product, your team against their team. So it's always good to do that at the initial stage of the project. Now, moving on, assumptions. Now, assumption section is a good place to spell out without leaving room for debate what is needed from the client to ensure success. So this is to clear things out, just like the example I gave you initially concerning the guy that built a e-commerce platform without building an admin. If they had proposed, if they had assumed that, please kindly mute your mics, in case your mics are on, please mute them. So if they had assumed that, if they had said it beforehand that a dashboard would be needed, or you say, oh, we're providing this platform and would there be need for a dashboard? I ask these questions even sometimes when I'm reviewing a project. They just say they want a banking, a payment application, a fintech application. I will state it there that do you want the web, the mobile, the web, and the mobile, the web or the mobile, then the admin, do you want it to come in responsive version or you just want it to be web-based only? You ask all these questions so that you know how you could work. So here's a template for handling those sort of things. You know, you can go, it is necessary that this team provide the following assets and resources. An inability to provide these assets in this team may contribute to unsuccessful and delayed delivery. So you let them know so that at the end of the day, if there's problem, you can fall them out. Following assets and these things are expected. So these are your assumptions. Someone gave you an e-commerce project and said, oh, an e-commerce project, normally they have a web platform and a mobile platform. You let them know. It has an admin platform. You let them know. Then you state it there. So it's not as if that's what you are assuming that. Then you are not saying, okay, for us to even work, we might need. So if you've already cleared out your branding style and they say, okay, you provide the branding, you say, oh, we might need access to Shutterstock, which will cost access to Shutterstock, free pick. We might need customize these things and all that. You table all the content, imagery, audio, maybe videos, and all that. You tell them what's required, and that's how it works. I don't know if there are any questions. Someone is saying hello, everyone. Well, hello to you too. Now, deliverables. Once you are, so you know, I said the first part, the initial side was assumption. So that is like saying assumptions, what you're expecting. But at the end of the day, there has to be what is expected, like your deliverables. So once they have laid down your assumptions and everything, and you have agreed, oh, take out this one, don't do this one, so you now list out your deliverables. Everything you are going to offer to the clients. That's what goes in your deliverable. Project brief, project overview, project scope, project summary. They kind of like fall in between the same thing. all they are doing, they are achieving the same goal. They are telling you what is about the project. That's basically it. When they all have the same goal, they're kind of similar. Anybody raising their hand, can you like type the question you want to ask? I can see Olaoni's hand is up. So in case you have any questions, please type it down. If you don't have any questions, you can put your hands down. All right. So ownership and rights. Yes, this is very important. Now, there are some products that you work on. You can't even put it on your portfolio. Even if you put it, you have to blur it. Like you can't even say it. In fact, some of them depends on your agreement. I mean, there's a project I worked on. I can talk about it, but I can't display it. There are some I am not allowed, they are not allowed to know that I worked on it based on, there are different types, but they fall under two types. These are the two major categories of ownership and rights. Work for hire. So everything you are building belongs to the person you are building for. That's kind of similar to what I did. So it goes as far as you can't even post it on your portfolio. That's what it means. They don't want they are buying everything off. So these things will affect the pricing. I mean, when someone told me I can't see anything, I can't discuss about this project, I notched up the price. And they were willing to pay because their fear was they don't know the time they will execute this project. And they don't want it to be displayed before someone gets the idea and launches the product then. So if I put it on my portfolio and someone released a similar project and they find out that I've released it, I can get sued because I signed a contract not to review any relationship to that product. Now, the other one is the licensed work projects, whereby it enables you retain the copyright of a work and grants other policies. So projects like this, you share, you can display it and say, oh, I worked on this, I did this, I did that. It's something you can advertise and all that. So it's important to know this and state this clearly. You do not want to be having legal suits with companies that have enough resources to destroy you. So, and naturally, you don't want to rent out suits. You just want to just do your work and move on with life. Now, all this, like I said, will now come into your additional cost and fees. Now, everything that we've talked about initially, I know we talked about content, assets. So if they are providing your assets, you can't charge them for it. But if they say they don't have assets, but they want you to provide those assets, you would have to so for me to acquire stuff on Shorter Store, I'll be billing you for this, I'll be billing you for items, I'll be billing you for branding, you add those extra fees. And whenever there's ownership issues, whereby they say, oh, we don't want you to share copyright license agreement. Then fine, you don't want me to know, I'm charging you for this. So that's like a payoff, paying you off and you're moving. So you add that to your fee and you can negotiate. So like I said, it's a proposal. It's not the final contract. The final contract goes into the contract per se. This is the proposal. It's different from the final contract. So here's a template on how you could actually describe certain things when you want to ask for additional cost and fees. In the event that outside resources are required, we talk about fonts, image, they shall be identified and approved and built to this, that means client company. In addition, you will provide this. So this comes if you are in a development team when they say, okay, you do the hosting. But in your own case, you say, oh, we provide these assets and all that. And you can say this will be starting as low as this per month with a setup of this. It depends. These are not the actual fees. So don't go and charge someone 500K for hosting. Please, it's just a template. So in the event of this, we purchase a maintenance package, charge them this thing. Your company name will want to create a package that mutually agreeable and this thing. So this is to clear everybody. You can see what proposals do to clear all that, so that at the end of the day, you won't hear them say, I say, he said, I said. No, you don't need that kind of drama. You just need everybody to see what's going on and, we clear everybody out. Now, that still factors into the project pricing because Someone has said, you can start a project and you say, I'm charging you 300K. That's based on what they told you the project to be, or 500K, or 800K. Then when you now hear that, oh, you are doing branding for them, you do maintenance, you say, bros, you need to raise it to 1.5. Everybody shouts, but you now tell them at the end of the day, this is why, this is so all this pricing, you put it down there after telling them, so they will see it clearly what was discussed. So after you document the details, how you're going to perform, it's pretty good to let the client know the cost. So you can say your company name has proposed multiple this in order to provide the best possible outcomes for Your company makes the assumption of content we provided. You put all those assumptions, you put all those extra bills, you can write it in your format and say, this is the breakdown. We estimate, you now break it down for them and they see their total prices. So you guys can do that in your space. Now, payment schedule, so when you start projects, especially right now, in case of some of you get into freelance project, there's going to be scenarios whereby you think project is always 50-50. You collect 50, then when you're done, you collect 50. That's the general scope of how to price. Well, that's not true actually. It can vary in a lot of ways. For me, I charge 70. You pay me 70 upfront. You don't like, and that's me. It can be on some people collect 30, some people collect 50. So, but you can even break it down because there's been a project whereby someone I had, it was with a company, a very big company, and because of the amount, they broke the projects in the percentage of deliverables. So when 30% of the project is done, they pay you that money, maybe 30% of the full amount. When you complete another 20, they pay. So it's based on, so if by any chance they say, I think the agreement was, if by any chance we speed up and finish the project, they pay everything. But if there's any disagreement, maybe at the end of the day, both parties want to cut, because it's a very robust project that might take a while. We don't return what they've been paid. They can decide to keep what they've been owed. We just split parties and nobody complains about it. So you can't go back to them and say, return my money and all that. They know why they put it like that. And we read it and we understood why they wanted it like that. So the eventual outcome that they don't want to proceed, both parties can split and we don't need to return the money because we built something and all that. So it is clear. At the early stage of my career, I made a mistake of signing an agreement that I did not read properly. And in that agreement, I think that's the hardest lesson I've done. They said, if by any chance they are not satisfied with one single outcome, that's what they said, that I am to refund all the money being paid to me. That's what was there. When I read it, I was confident of my skill at that point in time. I'd be like, no, there is no way, because I've done projects, I was sure of my skill, but that was a big mistake, because at one point in time, I tried to encourage them to use a design system, and they said they don't want to use a design system. And when I looked at the project, I saw that without a design system, we will not build a very reasonable product. And so what happened was that I now created a design system out of my own sweat and did a version. And they told me, no, that since I can't work with them and I can't deliver on that outcome, that I should refund the money that has been sent to me. And yes, I had to refund the money. I refunded the money and told them, I learned my lesson. I told them I don't want to ever do business with them again. So you have to really be careful of kind of contracts you sign. Like I said, this is a proposal, but this is a lesson ahead to know to read your contracts properly and ask for clarity when you are not sure of certain details. You can get a lawyer, but we know today lawyers are just too expensive, especially with the monthly money they make. But you can ask a lawyer friend. I usually use lawyer friends and they break it down for me. And yes, you have to give them something. You have to encourage everybody's work. It's not easy to break down certain contracts. Most of these companies write contracts in so much big words that you would ask yourself, what is this 1 minute? You just overlook it. But when Yawa gas, you will now draw you to this line, and your signature is just there in fin. So you can't, there's nothing you can do about it. You don't want to go into that this thing. So yeah, this is a way. So like I said, this is just an example of maybe a way some projects are breakdown. You can borrow these templates. Your typical payments, yes, you receive a retainer of this. You can specify percentage of the total estimated price prior to commencement. You can say 60, you can say 40, you can say 13. You can also break it down between your delivery period. Okay, from this to this, payment due, paid in this. So it's left for you. There is no like straight way, but sometimes always break your project in such a way that you get your stakeholders' attention. You don't charge them too much, but you get them attention. The reason why I ask for 70 these days is because one thing I know is we'll get the project done. But one thing I don't want is for my sponsors to just get like uninterested or go and seek other person. Because when someone drops 70% of the full money, I mean that 30% you will see you through. Yeah, so at that point in time, and it puts more effort on you, being that collected 70%, you need to deliver. So, but over time, it can be flexible. It's not every time you stand your ground. Sometimes I do this because of maybe the kind of company, especially if it's mostly startups and all that, because startups move left and right a lot. But once you have like an organized setting, maybe a KPMG, a PwC, some other this thing, you can have, they will not give you 70%. That one, I'm sure of that. They will break it down very well. You'll be shocked. Even at some point, they'll be putting 5% somewhere. Well, yeah, you just have to understand. Now, acknowledgement and sign off. Now, it's vital to make sure that everyone has a clear understanding of what's going on to be taking place and how much is expected from each side. It's equally important that you protect yourself from attrition, superhighway, and reduce your risk of allowing clients to engage you in future creep, continuous requesting, and all that. I'm sure some of you might have started taking projects whereby you start and they say, oh, what they want is a landing page and a login page. Before you know it, there's a features page. Before you know it, there's a products page. Before you know it, there's icons to develop. Before you know it, you need to provide assets. That was not agreed though. They might have charged you. This, I'm talking from a real life. I have some of my mentees are going through this. I agreed to build something for 150. All of a sudden, the person that started building dashboard because there was nothing to like clear everybody and know where everybody. So acknowledgement is just proposal is agreed upon both parties. The proposal must be signed off, dated this. So this is a perfect example. So you can have your company name, who is representing, the role the person is representing, the date that one signed, and the other company by this, who is representing them, the role the person is playing, and the date he's signing off. So that once you've agreed on this one, you can move over to the contract stage. They will issue you their contract. Everybody signs, everybody's happy. Always review your contract even after a proposal. There might be some sneakings here and there. You have to be very mindful. Now, yeah, so that's about your project brief. I think with all the templates, you can really map out and scope out a proposal. Are there any questions so far? So that we can move over to the methodology. All right, no questions so far. I'm glad everyone is following. So that is very good. So now let's go over to the methodology. Now, understanding project approach. Now, I don't know, funny enough, I had a debate with someone yesterday on LinkedIn. He was like, all these boot camps that are just doing jargons, blah, 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 allowing people go through processes, that if you enter an agile environment, they would struggle or they'll be out of the job or say test as a first user. The truth is, I actually got what he was trying to say in the sense that he was trying to let people know that your approach to projects would differ depending on the situations. But I think someone said they can't hear me anymore. Please confirm if you can hear me. Is it just him or is it general thing? Okay, I think Mustafa, you need to fix your network. I think I'm loud and clear so far. All right. So moving on. So yeah, I think I was trying to get what he was saying. I got what he was saying by telling you that in based on the projects you are working on, you have to handle it with different approach. I know most of the projects, yeah, when you go into user testing, they will tell you define, empathize, research, ideate, design, test, and thereabouts have their process to let you know that is an iterative method, which the truth is not really based on. Oh, but these are guidelines. You can't ignore the guidelines. Now, I agreed with his final point, but I didn't agree with the way he approached it, saying boot camps are making designers lazy. There are approaches, there are some standards, there are models, and these models are to guide you in your project so that you don't have issues. Now, whatever model that would approach, if you go to any development team, no matter whether agile or anything, it will have these same steps. Someone will plan, someone will design the team structure. Maybe there's a business team to like talk about what they are supposed to do, how they are supposed to deliver. There'll be scrum masters that will be putting their own inputs. There'll be PMs that will be telling about the features and all that. They will all do define the requirements. They will now bring in the design team to work on the concepts, the interaction, work on different specification. Once they are done with the design, they'll move to development team. They will test, they'll look at it, pain points, refine the solution, deploy solution, extend project by making recommendation for inputs and improvements. These things are the standard. There's no environment you just see in a team whereby if you enter a team whereby they just enter and say design first, or the development team are just building, just notice that how that project never gets solved. There are always issues coming up because there was not a plan, there was not a process. So I had to tell the person that yes, things might differ, but there are ways that can guide it. And we have there are two major styles, although there are many styles of project, but it must involve these things with the talk. We talk about the waterfall. Now, this is involves treating the steps of a project as separate distinct phases, where approval of one needs before going on to the next phase. So in a nutshell, that means, let me give you a scenario. Let's assume we want to like, and this process is best for, very minimal, like very light projects. For example, I think one of the projects I did in a bank was we needed a dashboard where our customers can pull off their transaction history, so or their statement of accounts online. So all they need is somewhere to just log in their bank details. Then they just select from the calendar year they want from this month, this time of the month to this time to spool it off, and they can either export it or they can share it, depending on how they want to do it. Now, because that feature was light, it didn't really need much. All we needed was, planning. The PM just wrote what he wants to do, everything and all, sent me the documents, the PM, so why we went through some mock-ups. When that was done, we just took it to the development team. Developer did it, test, we threw it, and we pushed to live. So because of the kind of feature, it was easy for us to iterate and finish one stage before going to the next. Meaning they planned it. There was nothing to add. We were clear on the goal. What we wanted was a product that gives a transaction history from a certain period to another period. Took to the design, we designed everything, and that was done. We moved to the development, they developed everything, fused to QA for testing. My voice is breaking again. Fine. Okay. Maybe it's a network glitch. Please, everyone, please confirm if it's still breaking. All right. Okay, so if I please find a very good spot. I know I think it's rainy outside. I don't know. So yeah, moving on. Once we were finished with those stages, the project was done. So a waterfall approach was a reasonable approach for us. We didn't need to use an agile approach. So the problem with the pure waterfall is that it assumes each phase can be completed with minimal changes to the phase before. So that's the thing. The assumption of waterfall project is that it's not completed. It's a drawback or a revamp. So that's the issue. But once you are dealing with a project that is quite advanced, maybe you're trying to build an e-commerce system or you're trying to work on a fintech product, requirements might change. Today you can say, oh, we want to do only transfers and pay bills. Tomorrow say, no, let's add airtime. Next tomorrow they say, let's pull loans. You can't do that with a waterfall. There will be too many drawbacks on your requirements. So let's look for a more stable approach that works well. So the agile approach generally has a greater focus on rapid collaboration and reduced focus on detailed documentation and formal sign-off. So agile approach is we are clear on what we need to do on the first iteration. Okay, we just plan. When the features are too much, you say, okay, how do we release our minimum viable products, our MVP? I'm sure you guys saw that Twitter video online and people didn't know what MVP means. Yeah, minimum viable products, whereby we say, oh, what's the best approach you can do for the first iteration? And you just say, okay, let's do this, let's do this. So let's take, for example, a fintech application. You can look at the fintech and say, oh, what do the users need at first? You can plan and say, okay, let's just be able to have where they can have their wallets. Let's have where they can do transfers, pay bills, airtime. So you can have that. They can see their transaction history. They can maybe request for card, debit card, credit card. You can say that can go with your first iteration. The second iteration might involve maybe incorporating a loan or investment package. You might have another iteration that says, oh, you want to do maybe a little bit of data capture. But for now, you don't want to do that because of the complications. You just want everybody to start with a wallet account. When you want to now verify, you want to. So if we're using the waterfall approach, believe me, we might be planning and designing this project for maybe 7 or 8 months, because to run maybe a loan application takes time in terms of this thing. To run maybe an investment application takes time. You have to look at the back and forth and many drawbacks. But if you say, okay, let's run with iteration 1, give them wallet accounts, let them be able to transfer, let them be able to pay time, do bills, see their transaction history, and we can say, okay, we do that one. Maybe because, and based on your research, because you would have done some research, you feel that this is just like the bare minimum for any fintech application, and you do that, and it's live in the market. So at the end of iteration 1, users already have a product that they can have a wallet account, can transfer money to their wallet, they can do transfers, they can pay bills, they can do airtime, they can see their transaction history, and you can see they can just do the bare minimum while you are working on the loan application. So your product is already generating funds, is already working while you're working on the next one. But if you use the waterfall approach, you might end up staying for a very long period of time and you don't have a product after 8 months. And you know how your stakeholders will feel if after 8 months they don't have a product. Olaoni, I see you want to ask, your hand is up. I've encouraged everyone to type their questions in case they have any. Please do that. At the end of the session, then maybe you guys can ask formally. We can have an interactive session. All right. Now, I just want to talk about one approach that will help you, especially, and this approach is just, it's a lean UX approach. So it's an agile project approach that is well suited for products by being developed in the face of great uncertainty. So lean UX takes into account assumptions. We might do that later in the course. It's just something being introduced. So sometimes the efforts and the cost to run some research might be too much. So there may be need to use a lean UX approach whereby you take assumptions, you build proto personas, and you kind of like look at the best possible outcome for your business and for the users. So once you have this, you can now define the features that you need to render out for your minimum viable product, your MVP. So that's what the lean UX is all about. As we go on to the course, I'm sure you will learn more about a lean UX approach. So I think that'll be all for me, and we can now have a discussions for those of us that don't have the strength to like maybe type their questions. You can now ask your questions. In the meantime, I think I will just share. I will just share uh, the link. I think that's about it. Yeah, so that you can have access to the design, the presentation. So we can have questions, can have an interactive session. You can ask your questions, you can turn off your mic, and we can discuss for a few minutes before we round it up for today. Did everyone get the approach? Do you understand the proposal method and the proposal flow and the different methodologies we have? If you keep raising your hand, but I don't hear anything. Do you have a question or you want to use
Good
your mic?
morning.
Good morning, Esther.
Yeah. Please, I want to ask a question. Or let me say, I have a little request. Can you please go over the agile approach and the lean UX people, like again, because I don't really understand.
Okay, let me go through that all over.
Thank
Someone
you.
said he didn't understand the lean UX. So like this lean UX is a separate approach, entirely different, and it has its own way. But let me just try and go over the agile approach. So let me give you an example. I think I'll use this. I'll use this. I'll use an example to explain the agile approach. So you want to build a fintech application, and you know that okay, your deliverables would include um, an account balance, some features, and those features might include a loan application, an investment application, an investment flow. It might also include maybe a adjust scheme, and you still have to do the basic things of giving transaction history, transaction record. Now, because working on everything might take a while, and you have to work with deadlines and deliver something, the agile approach is to break down robust projects. So a project like this, and not forgetting that in this project, you might also be working on the admin side as well. So in order to reduce the work and release a product that is still usable, you could map out your deliverables and say, for this particular product, iteration 1, let's work on the account balance, transfer, airtime, and bills, transaction history. What else is important? You can say, let's work with that. And maybe account opening. Account opening is always important. Now, when you do that and you work on that flow, what we have is it will take a shorter time. You now move over to the design team. They now start designing based on those deliverables. They work on account opening, they work on balance, they work on transfers, they work on airtime and pay bills, and they work on transaction history. It will be faster. The design team will work on that. Then they now push over to the development team and they work on their own. They push over to QA test, they work on their own, and they now push to live. At the end of iteration 1, you have a product that can allow customers open an account, allow them do transfers, allow them pay bills, allow them buy airtime, allow them check their transaction history. But that's not the end of the project. I hope you know. Esther, are you following me? So far, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, please.
So that's not the end of the project. You still have other things. Once the first flow is working, you can now say, okay, now how can we incorporate the loan application? Now, when you now get to the loan, you now have to break it down. Oh, for our loan, there will be certain types of users. There might be people that want small loans. There are people that want fat loans. Maybe the return policy. Maybe if you take this amount, this is the amount you get back. There may be periods. There are this thing. You can now have special loan packages. You now map out that for your second iteration. And when you now push it to the design team, they design the different flows. From the design team, they put it to the dev team. They design the different flow. From that process, they push it to the QA and they push it live. Now, at the end of iteration 2, you now have an app that you can open accounts, your users can check their balance, your users can transfer, your users can pay bills, buy airtime, check their transaction history, take loans, refund loans, and all that. At the end of iteration, are you seeing how the project is moving on? Then iteration 3, you can now say, oh, investment. Yes, we have to find to make money. You understand? So if they put this amount after this quarter or this years, they get this amount percentage, control different things. You see, there was a lot of planning going on in that stage. At the end of this, maybe your third iteration, you now have a platform that can open account, users can open accounts, do transfers, pay bills, buy airtime, check their transaction history, take loans, and run different investment packages. Are you seeing the difference? If you were to do that with the waterfall, you will do everything. You will plan everything, which will take you months. You will design everything, which will take you months. Now, the beauty about the agile approach is, let's say you built this product, you went live. That's the first one where we had the account balance and the transfers and what have you. Now, when you're working on the loan and you built it and you went live, but there was an issue, probably there was something that had to do with your planning. You had to go back and say, oh, for this particular amount, we need more data, that the data is not enough and all that. You now go and replan. What you are doing in iteration 2 doesn't really affect what has been done in iteration 1, because iteration 1 was complete and it was working fine. Do you get me? All right.
Yes.
So the advantage of that is, once you are done with, once you have any issue that has to do with iteration, you fix it within this issue. That's why you can see this arrow. If you need to go and develop again, you do it. If you need to design again, you do it. If you need to define, but it doesn't affect this one. Once it's done and it pushes over to live, like its approach is working, this one is closed, you now move over to the next one. But if you are using the waterfall approach, let's say while they are building the investment, we just go, hey, we forgot to do track back on our loan application. It's exhausting for the developers. It will be more exhausting for the designers. It will be very exhausting to have to go back, because nothing is on. You just start, and those projects might never go live. Might never doesn't mean it wouldn't, but even if it goes live, there'll be lots of issues. So there's need to, for very complicated project, to break it down into different phases. That's why there's this thing called the minimum viable product. For every stage, what's the minimum viable? What's the product that can flow out and can push out and it's working? I don't know which example I can use that is very, very explosive. I mean, Twitter too is a good example. When Twitter started out, but although Twitter used kind of the lean UX approach, when we joined Twitter back then, it was follow for follow when it all started. I don't know if you guys knew that time. Geo followers and all these things. It wasn't a crazy, it was just follow people to know what they are thinking and all that. But now Twitter is more than that. Twitter has space now. It has trends. There are things they've been adding, they've been iterating, and it's because of the lean UX approach. That's what they are using. And I'll explain the UX approach with Twitter. For instance, now, most of the things Twitter introduced today, it's not as if there's just a business outcome. So for sometimes someone can say, our trends are very good, but there are some people that they are just interested in politics. There are some people that they are just interested in music. So your trends can have different things. Today, maybe something happened in Ojo Elegba. Ojo Elegba will be trending. But you might be in VI, and what's happening in Ojo Elegba doesn't really concern you. But what happens to Davido concerns you. So as far as there's trends, Twitter and all, Ojo Elegba and all these things, when you see, oh, look at what's happening around Davido, you look at, I don't know if you've noticed that after looking at your trends, and they are tracking it based on what you like or allow you to retweet. So if you like a Wizkid post or something related to Wizkid, before you know it on your trend table, they will just be showing you things related to Wizkid. If you like something related to art and design, before you know it, they start showing you stuff under your trends that are related to that. It was a lean UX. They said, oh, on our trend table, people see what's happening around them because the trends work based on locations. But what if people can see what's happening around them based on a specific title or header? So that way, people be like, okay, let's look at that. And they've improved, by doing that, they've improved engagement. That's how all these stan accounts, club following, footballers, they work out. So what Lean UX does is they use a lot of assumptions. Using what they have already, they now create new hypothesis and say, okay, let's test this out and see why it's working. That's why you notice on Twitter, I think they had this, there was something before the Twitter space. I don't know if anyone can remind me. What was that? Where people could see, it was like all the status updates that they removed. So what was that? Reels, yeah, that's it. Reels, they had Reels. But it turns out that I told you it was a business move. They didn't really, or Fleet. I think Fleet was the word.
It's Fleet.
Fleet was the word. So Fleet was the word. So when Fleet came out, I know many people like, some people liked Fleet, but the truth is when they looked at the engagement, it wasn't what they expected. It wasn't as much like, because people have like, it works better for Instagram because Instagram has to do with what you do, like your post. It has to do with more image and more. Why Fleet didn't work out is Twitter is based on tweets, discussions. You understand? It's more like that. And I feel that was where they looked at, and Fleet didn't really turn out. But for Twitter space, it makes a lot of sense because sometimes the stress of typing or creating threads is just very exhausting. Maybe they are talking about something, someone write thread, maybe 20-line thread, discussion will start after that 20 line. Another person might go and start another discussion inside that discussion again. They're like, you know what, let's give them a space where they can iron out their issues. And that's why Twitter space is even to today now. There is one that is out there: inflation, Nigeria debt to government, your marriage can't work. Based on your whole, like just see what people are engaging. And they now use your followers to create these things because they feel you are following people that you are interested in. So once your followers, you don't have to be for you to join space, you don't have to, person creating the space, you don't have to be following the person, neither the person has to be following you. But if someone you know has started a space or joined, you can join the space as well. It's free for all. So that has created more engagement for them. So that's kind of like a lean UX process they thought about. So it's assumptions that push it, that, oh, what if we bring out this thing? Would it make sense? I will give you another example. Instagram. I don't know, you guys, I'm sure a lot of you guys use Instagram. Now, who remembers the first logo on Instagram? First ever logo on Instagram? I think I can search for it.
The one with the
You guys are.
color.
Eh? Let's look at it. I think we can check it. It's not even these ones. These ones are the latest. Who remembers this logo?
With the brown color, the carton color.
Exactly. Who remembers this logo?
Yeah, see it.
How many of you? I don't want to believe there's Gen Z all over this place. Nobody remembers this logo. Yeah.
Remember
Now,
I remember
why didn't this logo work for them when they created Instagram? They assume people didn't download Instagram because they thought it was a camera app. And really, that's how most camera apps were at that time. You know, back then, it's not as if we have good, it's not we have good phones. Like the camera is good. Back then, when you buy one phone, you have to download camera app. It's by force, by fire, to not work. So then we buy camera app so that the resolution of our pictures will come out better, to look as if we are living in a better place, we're enjoying life, but it's not like. Then they felt people don't know what Instagram was doing because they feel it's a camera app. Meanwhile, Instagram was more of a social media app, sharing, posting pictures, people liking pictures and all that. Now, before they used to have a lot of text on Instagram. They've reduced that. What they want to do is just like and move on. They made the pictures wider. Before Instagram was almost looking like Facebook at one point in time. Facebook with pictures. They had to reduce all that. They assume that, oh, let the focus for users be on the pictures rather than the words. Most times I see some pictures on Instagram, I forget to read the caption. I forget that, okay, people actually post caption on pictures these days. And that's them hitting their target market, because Instagram is more should be focused on the content itself, not what someone has written and stuff like that. So they looked at the approach and said, we are not getting enough of users because people feel that our app is a camera app. So that's why they rebrand to, I don't know which one is their latest these days, because they have, I think they've changed that app. I watched the video of how they worked on it. They have multiple variations now, but I think they settled with this. I think one time they ran this, but I think they later worked with this. Now, this still gives you that picture feel, but it's more pleasant. They wanted it warm, they wanted it joyful, because that was the goal they wanted for Instagram. So while creating all these assumptions, they say, okay, so what do we need to get to this goal? Say, first of all, we need to rebrand this camera app, work on this. They worked on it. Then they said, okay, they looked at the application. I don't know if I can get Instagram interface. I don't know if I can get an old one that was very, very back in the days Instagram. Dio, can you mute your mic? I think. Someone mute this mic. Okay, I can't really find it. The old Instagram interface was very, very bulky, very too much talk. I think this is one. Back then, plenty stories. No, this is the new one. So back then, the profile page used to be very, very, very bulky, but they worked on it and did that. And that's what some of the changes they make. On Twitter, they've done something. If you notice on Twitter, they have where they manage your spaces. You can see that. Yeah, I think they have 6 navigation icons for easy navigation through and all that. So what most of these big companies use, but the lean UX, you get used to it over time. That's when you now use more business goals to drive user outcomes, develop your features and all what have you. So for now, just get acquainted with the 2 styles, the agile method, the now like what style or what to use based on the problem given to you. Now, the misconception we usually have in product design, and maybe people have it, is product design is just design. You understand? People say, oh, it's not just UI. It's not just, and even among us, we still have the problem. It's bad enough that people that don't know, if you don't know, I can excuse it for ignorance. But when you now know, but when you're in the field and you still don't know, that's a problem. Product design is really problem solving with designs. That's the product design. You solve a problem. There's a problem. We need a product to solve that problem, and we can do it through design. Product design is, and wherever you need to solve that problem, there needs to be some form of planning. There needs to be some form of requirements gathering. There needs to be some form of research. There needs to be some form of ideation. There needs to be some form of design. There needs to be some form of testing. There needs to be some form of validation. Those kind of things. These are processes, things that we will put to create a product. It's not just UI. Yes, maybe it might have started that way, but now it's a little bit more robust. So the problem, the main issue is when you are given a project or a problem to solve. At that point in time, as a product designer, it's important to know which methodology we apply. There's a phrase they just give you, just say, okay, this one, waterfall, we can build, just like the example I gave you earlier. And some that will come down when you come, I think there was a project that came to us one time. We were reviewing it with the PM, and when we read the goals, it wasn't making any sense. And I'll give you an example. They came up with a product that said, we want our product that when you type in a location, the product will know whether you should be able to go by air or by road. We were thinking by air or by road. They say yes. So if you type in maybe Anambra now, or maybe let me use a place that doesn't even have an airport. Which state does not have airports that you need to like travel to and all that? Let's pick a place that doesn't have. So they'll tell you, the app should be able to tell you that you take maybe air flights to Kogi State, man. I'm not really familiar with that terrain. No. But what airports do I need to land in to get to Kogi State? Which state will I? Let me use Karimat.
Abuja.
Yeah, Abuja. Aha. Okay. So they want the app to be able to guess that you will take flight to Abuja first. Then from there, you will just take bus. So when we looked at this project, we scoped it and we're like, have you discussed with any logistic company? First of all, is anybody doing it? The competitive analysis returned no record. Is either you are flying or you are taking bus. Now, when we went back to them, we asked them, okay, there's no competitor doing this thing. Have you discussed with any maybe road logistics company that we collaborate with an airline so that when you are finished from one place, automatically the bus, just like airlines collaborate, they have multiple stops when you are going to a particular place. So obviously, if we are doing one that will take you by flight somewhere, you will take one that will take you by road somewhere. This is just PM level. We're trying to understand where this project. And yeah, I double as a PM sometimes. So we just wanted to understand. They were not like, no, we've not thought that far, but let us see the design first. We told them that cannot fly. We now asked them what was the idea in the first place. They said they were expecting maybe they can get Uber. Immediately you said Uber, my CDO laughed because he said there are even some states in Nigeria that Uber doesn't operate. So how do you want to run that one? You want to use Uber. So the problem of that project is as a designer, you just started designing. By the time you reach the development part where there are no APIs, literally, that exist to work this, because what I mean is that the logistic company and the airline company have to collaborate and they have to give us shared APIs so that once we build a product and we say, okay, you are going to like we will now give you an airline that goes to Abuja. They will now book a logistic bus that will take you straight to Kogi State. As I told, they are literally on this thing. We said, how was it going to work? We now shoved out that feature and focused on airline alone. So there was planning stage. So if that had gone to the design stage, that project would have failed. And to now look at if the designers are not good or they didn't have vision. So as a product designer, so much to ask, you have to be involved in the business side. You need to understand how impactful this project will be, where it's helping, how can we do this product. You understand? You need to ask a lot of, that's why they say you ask the whys, you ask the what is this product? Why is it important? Okay, fine, you want to build a traveling system, but currently it's not possible. But what's viable? Okay, we can do the ones of, yes, we could do the one of pickups. So I think we did pickups for them. So when you're going to a place, pickups, or if you are going to a place for more funds, your trip. Someone Kogi State will run your flights. Maybe you requested for because you are going to Kogi State, but your flights you have to stop at Abuja. Your money for that trip to Kogi will be funded to your account, and from there you can now move to your listing. You can still deliver good experiences even with technological constraints. It just to do with the design thinking and approach. Kind of project, obviously, the waterfall was a no-go because of back and forth. The agile was obviously better because we have to do a customer interface, we have to do an approval interface, we have to still do an admin interface and all that, and other stuff like that. That's where there's so much importance that has to do with the starting of a project. And that's why we have this course, this particular session. I know we didn't really touch much about it, but your methodology that apply very, very important when you're working on a project. And even when you are agile for something that could be as simple as a waterfall, there might be drawbacks. You might spend too much time because you want to be agile. Sometimes some products is just despite I want to apply standard, always remember that you are in an environment where things work a little bit faster. But you do try and pause so that when you are not presenting your work or your portfolio to your next employers, you sound more professional and more compact. I think that's it. So any questions, any more questions? We can take more questions, few more questions before we call it a day.
Yeah. Hello, I have a question, please. Please, I want you to talk more on waterfall approach, please.
Okay, waterfall approach. So if I want to start, so waterfall approach, I think I explained one process. Let me go back to that process. The one that needs to generate your transaction history. So your statement of account, rather, let me use statement of account. So we knew we had the APIs. The statement of accounts can be generated. We're made to make change. All we wanted the user to do is one, authenticate so that we know it's your account. Two, put a start and an end date so that we know the records were to spool. And three, give them different ways to export their features, whether through share, this thing, and I think for maybe logout. But if you don't log out, being a payment or a fintech, it will log you out after a period of inactivity. So now this sort of approach didn't really make much thinking because we already had the product in line. We just wanted to take a feature out of somewhere. Also, this approach may not require much changes because the goal was simple: allow our customers be able to pull their statement of result, statement of accounts based on a certain period that they specify. It was simple. So what we did was they plan it, they would create what they call a BRD or FRD in so much things, this thing. Once that is done, they sign it off. They take it to the design team. The design team design, like we design everything and there's no drawbacks. Once they review, we push it over to development team. They are not breaking. We are not breaking, oh, we work on the login first or later work on this. When development team was done, we tested and we pushed to live. End of project. I think the only thing we needed to change was a few colors, but that was not a major change. So you can see that we worked on everything at a go. We didn't break it down that, oh, do login first. We push, we test login. Do the calendar check. I mean, put where you select your time period. We test to push out. We now bring it and say, oh, now you can now do logouts. No, we could have everything done at a go. That's at a single iteration. We built everything to the next step and we pushed out. I don't know if this explains further. Let me just go back to the diagram again. So as you can see, when we planned everything, defined everything we wanted. Wanted an app that allows our customers to export their statement of account from a certain period to another certain period. Once that was done, we went to the designed everything. Once that was done, we pushed to development, developed everything. Once that was done, we deployed, bam, we end projects. I don't know if you get that part, fine. It's straight up, there's no breakdown compared to the iteration where we broke down the banking application into account opening year. We did account opening year. We did transfers, payment, and bills. Over here, we did loan, and here we did investment. So we broke it down here, but in the waterfall, you just everything done most companies actually do this, even when they say they are doing this. Most companies, you will notice it when you start working, is this style they do. They don't know they are doing the waterfall, but it's the agile approach means waterfall means you define everything, you build everything and push back without little drawbacks. So if you're going to change anything, it's not much, and it will not change much. But when we talked about the agile approach, once you are changing something here, it affects a lot of things that you don't want it interfering with. If I did that, was that clear enough, or do you need further breakdown?
Yeah, it's clear. Yeah, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
It's clear.
Okay,
I was thinking, when you are talking about the waterfall approach, my network was glitching. So I was thinking you mentioned something about research. So that for now I'm clear.
Okay, okay, no problem. All right. Any more questions?
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
I'm listening. Hello, Bello.
Yes, sir. I just want to ask a question about the agile approach. You said that in the waterfall, you just have to plan everything and move at once. Okay, is it that in the agile, assuming we have the first phase of the project, maybe let's say the logging part of the project, we have defined our design system and every other stuff that we need. Understand? So, and we just have to make a little change to it. Maybe we are changing the color or we are changing the button style. Let's say before they are using that round button, and you want to maintain the consistency across the system. So what if there is a way, if the company come up with changing something from the design system? Is it that we are going to change it on each phase of the agile, or we'll just change it in one phase and leave the others? I don't know if you get the question.
So something like a design change like that, you don't need an iteration for that. You can actually push that. So those are some of the times you can just push. Something like that does not really affect. So when you want to change something drastic, you have to check the outcome, what it affects. So if it's just the design system, we know that it's just maybe changing your interface, basically. It's not affecting any process. I don't know if you get me. Now, why I broke it down in the other stage was that, let's say you were doing a loan application. Now, because maybe on your account opening stage, let's go back to the app. For your account opening, you didn't require much, maybe just a BVN or all that. But for some certain amount, you need to know people's address. That flow might make you need to work on your account opening. So that's why I say, oh, we had this one, let's go back to this, and you create a new process to deal with that. But that one won't help. Let me give you another example, maybe a real life example. I think we had one issue like that before. So we're working on a loan application. So we've done the account opening stage. And while we were working on it, someone came and said, one business person said, now we will need to separate the account to, there are two types of account holders. We said, even in corporate accounting, they said, yes, they said, one person is a corporate, and I think the other one is commercial. I think we were trying to differentiate between commercial and corporate, but we've done an account opening. So we import API onto T20. And we just told them, you know what, chill. We deployed the first one. It was working. We couldn't differentiate accounts, but it was live. My feature. We now have to now start saying, oh, how can we know when the account is maybe commercial or corporate? They will now work on another flow that changes this thing. Now imagine if we're doing all this within one iteration. That means the codes the developers are writing, we need to rewrite it. We've not deployed them. We'll need to take the system out. That means we'll need to redesign. We might even need to tell developers to stop that there's a new design coming up. I don't know if you are getting me.
Yes,
If we're
getting you,
using a
sir.
waterfall approach, it will be a major drawback because what was not if what was working was not working, but because it has changed something, changed a technological requirement. Because when we built the first one, it didn't need any third-party API. All it needed was just your details you provide for us, and we open an account. But they brought in a model that will require us to tap into another API, and will, you know, that's on that flow. A lot of things had to change. We can't do this with this current iteration because that will take away maybe 2 or 3 months of work. We push this one out, our staffs or our customers will be using it. After a period of time, we infuse the new operation. And how did it work? Because once we call in that API, we'll now run it for the existing customers. So it will now like choose who are the commercial and the corporates. But we couldn't do that now because that work, I mean, 2 months of work would have been rendered useless. It would have been a major drawback. But whereby it's just a design phase, whereby you just change it on your Figma. The developer just goes to his dot style, dot CSS, change one thing and he push. It's not affecting anything. It's just changing the view. So that's how you're able to do these things. So even when a project like a new outcome is given to you, you have to look at it. Can that fit into the current iteration? Because yes, many a times the business guys will come with new requests. And you now look at it, can it fit it? Will there be a serious drawback on our current iteration? Or we push it to the next iteration and work on it. You know, sometimes you ask yourself questions that, what are they still building at Paystack? I'm sure you would have asked, what are they doing? I mean, the product is done, is live. So why are designers still there? Why are developers still there? It's because every day people are constantly working on how they can improve the system. So if they were always, I think Paystack also released e-commerce. Imagine Paystack had the e-commerce idea since day one and they've not built up to. By now they will not be Paystack, they will be one roadside up that's time. But they worked on the first one. They pushed out that one. Immediately they had e-commerce. They worked on that one. It didn't affect. They just restructured the model and pushed out the second one. So Agile gives your platform the room to grow. It can evolve your agile methodology if you have big things. Because many times when you start a product, it's many things as you grow and you begin to get ideas. Many things begin to come up with various fintech apps. There are some that give you free transfer. There are some that check your location. Many things. The same thing with your vendor system. There are some that get your address automatically. There are some that can pay with card. There are some that many times there are going to be new requests to improve the business model and to improve the user experience. So that's why they use agile approach. So that what we do is release the minimum viable product now. When new requests come in, we can look at it and say, okay, can this work with what we currently have, or can we like push it to the next iteration? The decision is being made based on technological constraints, drawbacks, and other things, and you just, okay, let's push, and it works for you. I don't know if that explanation answers your question. I hope it does. You need more clarity.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. I really I appreciate this explanation because there was a time when I just started as a junior UX designer. I think just 1 year experience. We are trying to work on a project. It's like a food app. So you order food and it's having social media where you can chat with people, maybe foodies, people that have same interest with your food. And as well as having a market where you can shop for food again. And I think there is another feature, like 4 features. We try to like design everything at once and deploy, and at the end we are not able to like even come up with any product at all. I think then we are trying to use waterfall, and with this explanation I think what we're supposed to use then was agile. So we have to like break it down and deploy it one by one. Thank you so much for the explanation, sir.
This food app, I think I've had many people talk to me about it. I think it's one school that is doing this thing. I don't forget that food app. I'm trying to remember. I don't know. Someone came with this same approach. And yes, when she made that decision and discovery, I had to break down the project for her because they said a lot of things. And after drawing out too many outcomes, she found out that she wasn't even scraping 10 or 20% of the project requirements. And I told her to break the project down in simple fruits. So I had to tell her, why are you running your test? Who buys exotic fruits? Because actually, I just realized there were normal fruits. Because when I heard exotic fruit, my mind goes to exotic. So I was thinking it was those fruits, pineapple, the usual suspects. But she now told me some exotic fruits that I didn't even know were fruits. And I said, oh, I bet it's rich people that buy these fruits. And she said, yes. And I asked her, rich people buy these foods. So why are you doing your research in Yaba? She was not like, she wants to reach out. I said, no, you have to look at your target audience. Who are the people that buy? I don't think food that gets home by 8 after facing VI traffic is interesting. Just eat his banana like that when next he comes back. So who are the people in exotic fruit? I'm sure there are lots of Indians or all these expatriates that stay in VI. You need to go to where they are and ask them. So the point was that limited places that sell exotic fruits. First of all, you need to find who are the people that are interested and how you can get these exotic fruits to them. Then you go to the people that offer these fruits and say, oh, how is there a way we can run in logistics whereby you deliver this set of fruits, we push it to this place, and from here we deliver it to different people. So what I found out from their research was that there was a lot of issues. There was not proper planning, and they by my own was the simplest approach was I need to know who sells exotic fruits. One, I need to know who is interested in exotic fruits. I need to see how I can get those that sell it easily to those that need it. For my life, I can consider the price stocks in VI. We can have some exotic fruits for you. Maybe drop at one shop or something so that maybe Tunde can see the good life. I hope there's no Tunde in this place. So. No, apologies. So just that's the idea. Approach and planning is very, very important for your design project or journey. So you need to scope and you see this is the product design per se. Before people don't know that thing they see, the end product is as a result of so many things that have been done. When people say, is it just not to design? There's a lot of things that have been done for designing. And I wish that, or I pray that we get to that stage, because product design is new everywhere. So people are lucky enough. I think I spoke to a friend that works for Trivago. She said her job was to put your favorite icon in a place that is suitable for the customer. Something that any Nigerian company just say, oh, I'll slap it here, add to cart, straight up, move on. And Nigerians will use the app like that. But she said they had to do research, go and ask people, test the people that use their app, and know where it's favorable to add to cart. So it wasn't a small bit, just to add to cart to favorite, that love button, just to put it somewhere on the app, see problem. They had a team to go and because she gave example of when someone just came in Nigerian, they gave him a same feature, he didn't do any research, he just designed aesthetics. They shut down his entire work because what they do is that they actually do real life testing. They found out that he didn't even make up to 20% success rate. But the design was fine now. It had all the gradients, had all the effects and everything, but their users did not get why the change was so drastic. Over here, we're used to some drastic change. If you notice most apps you use, you've not seen a total revamp. They don't just change apps overnight. Doesn't just work because I remember Instagram did something. They pushed a feature that I'm sure most of you have not seen today. Before, oh my God. I think they did something whereby all your pictures can slide horizontally. That feature lasted 5 minutes, I think. When they got bashing from Twitter, they took it out and returned it to the normal flow. So you have the normal horizontal scroll. I think they wanted to introduce, I mean, you know about vertical scroll. I think they wanted to introduce horizontal scroll, but people did not enjoy it because people are used to, yeah, stressing them to move their hand this way. They got annoyed, and that feature didn't, like, it was so bad. Someone had to show me the feature because I couldn't find it. The moment I entered my Instagram, they've taken it off. So yeah, those are some vital changes. That's why the product design is not really the design per se. Yes, that's the outcome from series of work that was done behind the scenes. So don't allow anybody belittle your work or what you hope to learn. That's an advice I'll give you. Sometimes they'll tell you, you cannot design in this country without coding. I know people that don't know one line of code. They are world-class designers and they are doing very well. You can learn your design, and yes, they take user feedback very serious. That's where their traffic is coming from. That is your target audience. Your app is not an app because one person downloaded it. It is an app because many people downloaded it. There are many apps there. So you need to know that you're not building an app for yourself. So you don't build something and say, oh, I like it. You have to be sure whether they like it. That's why you see most billion-dollar applications don't really have what Dribble designers have. If you go to Dribble, I bet you might not find any of those apps live. So I download, check your billion-dollar app. Your Facebook, it doesn't have gradients. It's a white background or a black background, depending on the mode you are in, with what everybody is doing. Facebook is family app. Twitter is amable, where you need to know where everything is happening. They don't need to put gradient or animation. They just need you. The goal of Twitter people is go and check the latest trends, go and tweet at this person, go and cause violence, because that's where the violence is. The goal of LinkedIn is go and hype yourself, go and do what you need to do for your next employer to notice you. Everybody has their way. The goal of Snapchat is to make you look finer or make you look different. You can animate yourself, you can cartoonize yourself, you can make yourself look old. You can see each of these apps have their separate goals and they are doing what they are doing. The goal is not really user experience. User interface is important because these apps are clean. They are simple. It's simple to use. If there's no way, if I tell you guys to mention your best apps, you won't mention any of these 5. And there's a reason for it. They are meeting demands of people around the world. All right, Bello, let me hear your question.
All right, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, I've been studying this new Instagram update. So I'm trying to know why they like kind of interchange the icons. Before, if we are adding new images, maybe videos, the icon used to be at the middle of all those other 5 icons. I don't know if you get, but now they change the position to the top and they bring down the Rails icon to the middle. So me, I'm like kind of thinking like, okay, people that now do upload their picture or video on Instagram, it's not kind of like stressful, like the touch point, UX touch points. Because if you're trying to stretch your hand using one hand, the touch point is going to be very hard for you to reach that part. So why they change it? I don't know. Is it that people engage more on Reels? That is why they interchange it, or they just want people to just stress themselves on the applications?
As a trust yourself. So I think Instagram is going, they're evolving. One thing I know about Instagram is they're evolving. It has gone beyond the post and like. That was the goal initially set. But nowadays, if you look at their major focus points, they want to deliver, it's almost like TikTok. They want to be able to deliver content without you even following anybody at first. So, like, I don't have an account on TikTok, but I can go to TikTok and see what's happening there. I don't know. I think that's what happens. Someone said me that I don't have one single account. So I think that's where, but I've already created an account on Instagram. So Instagram Reels, yeah. I think their major focus is that. So Instagram is looking at delivering content to people even when they don't have content. Instagram did something. There was a social experiment they did, and people were depressed. It's the reason why they removed the likes from Instagram. Someone will post boobs and ass, and it's 100 and something K. You withdraw or design very nice wireframe, 10 likes. it was actually giving people depression. And Instagram were doing that before. That was the initial goal. If people know Instagram, there was something they did and it was intentional. It will look as if it's a network glitch. There was a time when you open Instagram, you're like, there's a pause. Like, up immediately. Just like when you look, like I open my Facebook now, I see the notification straight. On Instagram, the like side took time, maybe a 5 or 3 second delay. And the reason for the team that worked on it then was to create anxiety, like that tension. That I posted a pic around 10 a.m. You now check on Instagram around maybe 11. At first, you don't see anything. Then all of a sudden, you see 20 likes. That 20 likes, you just feel, so people are out there, people are seeing me. So that should have been the initial plan. But I think later on, when you look at the number of people that go through depression, anxiety, I mean, I'm sure it has happened to, I'm sure the niggas can relate more than, no offense to the ladies, but I've noticed, I posted my best work. I said nothing, 10 likes, but let me post my picture or my picture when I'm going out to an exotic place. Before you know it, the all get 99 likes. I'll be like, where are these 99 people when I'm posting my real work? You ask yourself, but now with the current Instagram, nobody needs to know anything. Just people that want to do posts, they can post. For people that want to do content, they can do content. I think it's just a rebrand to move the diversion from an app that just focuses on posting and liking to an app that is just go and watch content. That's why when you like a particular content, before you know it, your reels change to that content. Now, one guy was asking a question. He said, guy, my suggestion, I'm only seeing very, very exotic babes. And I told him that's because that's the only thing you like. You only like exotic babes. And he was like, no, it's impossible. I said, let's check it now. And we checked it. And really, Instagram was giving him what he wanted. Because he was, before you know it, they've thrown him another one. Before you know it, they've thrown him another one. It was like, that Instagram is now something site. I say it's not something site. It's based on what you like. I think a similar argument involved TikTok. I think someone was saying the things they see on TikTok. And people had to educate her that it's what you engage in that they give to you. So, we have this morality marks we wear. Deep down, we like something. Instagram and TikTok is just exposing it. We just like it. We just keep quiet. When you're not seeing it every day, you're not saying, this app has gone mad. Now, like, they have checked it. They know. They are just telling you who you are. They are exposing the demon inside you. So, next one, he said, although we do not really know how to code, how can we balance designing features that implement? So yeah, that's why Agile approach is very good. Agile approach doesn't involve you guys working on your own. It involves you also discussing with the PM. The PM's job is to check all these things. That's why I said it's because I double as a PM that we can know some of these things. It's not really a design job, but it's okay to know most of it. So I will encourage, even as you grow in design, read a lot of products books, just to know, so that before someone gives you jargons to go and design, you can know. So that's why always get a PM when you're working on a project. Even if you are working on a side gig, just get someone that has like a knowledge about products to come and scope this thing for me. Look at it, because once you accept a product or a project, it is so one thing. Okay, before I take any side gig, I scope the product myself. But if I don't understand certain things, I ask questions so I can meet my PM friends and say, guy, is it possible that this, that? Have you seen this, that? Don't you just do your normal scoping. Then you can also send your feedback back to the team that this feature you want to create, there's no much known about. Do you have further information as regarding this feature? So sometimes it might want to put you in trouble, but you have to return the. So it's as if you are playing tennis and they are slapping you trouble, you backhand it back to them. Tell them this issue with this feature you want to build, we have our reservations about it. Can you share more light? You say it in a very respectable and professional manner. Then while them they are dangling their head, you have put them in the trap that okay, so you two don't know anything about it. So let's just maybe erase it for now and focus on the things that we can build. You understand? So that's a way you can help yourself knowing more about working with projects and all that, because nobody talks about the dark sides of tech. Everybody talks about, oh, I'm making $15K, $2K. Nobody tells you that there are troubles in tech if you are not. There are people that can really. I have a lot of youngsters that take projects and I ask you, what is the offer? They say no. They say when we build, we'll discuss later. That's a very bad move. Clearly, from our class today, you can see that's not a great move. Let's know our costs and what we are doing beforehand. Protect your rights, protect your image, protect your career. Don't allow those first jobs you do to weigh you down. And they said the problem in product design is not because there are too many people doing it, but there are little people that understand it. That's what is happening here. You guys might feel that, oh, there are too many people doing product design. I will tell you that I know product designers that are doing 3 jobs at the same time. So this job that they are seeing, what happens? So what's happening is, in the beginner fish of product designers, there's maybe 20,000 fish, but maybe 15,000 jobs. So some people will not eat that day and they will get frustrated and die off. Maybe in the intermediate level, there's maybe 5,000 fish, but there's at least 7,000 jobs. So some people will still get something here and there. But in the higher stage, whereby there are like maybe few people, but there's enough jobs to go around. You see, that's why you see some people just from one job to another. This thing to price yourself. So that one is based on skill. Really, it's skill, but there are some money you shouldn't take, Sha. That one I'm sure of it. Any money below some certain amounts, I don't know whether I should cap it. I was charging per OS. So if you bring a product to me, I'll ask you, do you need web? I'll tell them I do web 200K. Then money has changed now. That time Nigeria was still okay. Then I'll not tell them if I'm doing mobile app, I'll say I'll do mobile app, I'll say 50. Then I'll say, but give you a discount. So if I want to do together, that's like 450. Okay, but the discount is 400. Now you just negotiate between the admin. The admin is different. No. I say it's different. If you want to focus, I can build only admin for you. You can tell them, okay, admin, you just tell them maybe 300 or something. But there and has to be with dealing with. So just like a there's a standard in the country. I'm sorry. It's per goals. I look at your deliverables. I don't do per page. That per page doesn't sound very. Although people do it though, but I think per hour is even better. If you learn how to charge per hour, it puts your stakeholders like I think. Although that's mostly remote, come to more based on your delivery, they'll pay you. If you have to work on it 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 6 hours a day, it is. I've not really seen as it's 5K because when you not there, they'll now remove 5K like that. No, just charge. So, you could always look, for example, say a mechanic, for instance. What a mechanic will charge someone that drives in a Toyota Camry and what he will drive someone that drives a Range Rover will be different. It's not the same mechanic. It's mechanic now. It's not the same engine. It's engine. But he knows that 5K, this guy, you know that Camry, this guy, last 20K. But once he sees Jeep, say in his mind, he knows he's not going below 50K. So because he knows for it to be drive. So most times, even the kind of clients drive the amount you charge. That's the thing. When you see most startups, fund is limited, you might just gauge it up to something you need, but there's an amount you shouldn't just collect. More questions are coming in. More questions are coming in because money is involved. You see these people. People are learning to learn product design. Oh, well, ask your question, Bello.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, sir. Please, sir, when you talk about like charging, me personally, I'm still a junior designer. Sometimes I charge per screen. So I don't know how the per hours actually work. Because if like you tell someone that per hour is 100K, like, for example, I don't know, and you are now like kind of procrastinating over the product, over the project you're working on, instead of doing the project within a short hours, you try to prolong it. It's not like kind of cheating the person. I don't know.
Do you think these foreign countries will give you job without knowing what you are doing? There's record. They'll tell you before you work on their project, log into their system. That thing will be taking snapshots, be checking your interaction with your system. Once you're idle, it will automatically log you out. So you have to log in again. So you can't cheat the system. So even while you're doing your research, they'll move you. Although there are ways you can cheat the system, though, if the demon in you wants to, but I feel per hour you don't really need to cheat anybody, because I've done a per hour phase, and usually a standard product designer should be collecting maybe $50 per hour. But the problem is Africa is different, so you might see product design jobs coming as low as $15 to $20 per hour. But why per hour is good is, I mean, what you do is what you get. Because if you look at companies that pay per month, I remember doing a job for, I think I only worked 36 hours. It was more than what I normally collect monthly. So it was a contract work. So per hour just makes you deliver. When you work, I mean, you will even be happy. There's a way you will work for 3 hours. When you calculate your money, calculate and say, you'll be like, yes, this is it. So per hour works a lot, but I don't think Nigerian companies, based on my experience, I don't think there are many Nigerian companies that pay per hour. They prefer paying per month, which is a rip-off, because per hour you could be making close to 15,000 naira per hour. And if you check, most of the monthly salary you get is as if they are paying you 8,000 naira per day, or that same amount per day. That's what amounts to your 150, 200 or thereabouts. Imagine we are collecting 15,000 naira per hour. Therefore pay. So that's why it doesn't work in our, I don't think any Nigerian company will come out and do per hour. They'll be telling you to be leaving work by 2. If they do per hour, you two they work too much, leave this place. So they'll be clearing you out and other stuff like that. But I will encourage you guys, in case you guys get any job that pay you per hour, be diligent in it, because the reward is better than, the reward of your hard work is always better, because based on experience, when you work per hour, there was a time I worked, I slept off, and the hours counted together. I woke up and I saw my machine had counted extra hours. So I noticed that that's a rip-off. I cleared it and started again. And I think they found out, because the lady messaged me. I was like, oh, we noticed that you cleared. I said, yeah, that I dozed off. That won't happen again. She was excited, because she said they normally do review. I think that was when I knew they do review at their own end. But to see that there are people out there, especially, yes, it might be offensive, Africans, that can be very, you understand. So they were impressed that, so it's always good to give a very good image of yourself whenever you're lucky enough to get to work with foreign companies or international companies. Because the reason why Nigeria is going through some difficulty, including when it comes to recruitment and JAPA, is because there are people that have made things hard for everybody. So you really don't want to play into that scheme. I mean, I don't need to go to school just because I want to leave the country. There are jobs elsewhere. I'm sure you saw that trend on Twitter. Once you change your location, before you know it, recruiters start looking for you. It means you are not bad. It means you are professionally qualified to have a job. But the cost of your ecosystem creates more fraudulent workers than actual workers. Yes, over time they might blacklist. I've seen some job ads that they blacklist your country. They say they are not receiving requests from your country. Some they might be very lenient and say they are not receiving requests based on time zone. But I've seen people work for American companies and they're working in Nigeria and there's no problem in it. It's just that everybody delivers what they need to deliver and we move on with life. So if you have opportunity to be in that role, I will advise you guys to be very diligent with your work and do your work. The reward is always more. Whatever they pay you within an hour or 2 hours, we mostly knock most of the companies will offer you within with that same time frame, a month and all that. So there's no really need to be cheating. Naturally, on the overall scale, you'll be making more money. So be earning more and you'll be doing more because there's also reward for working with on projects that are outside. So if you've worked on foreign projects, when other companies see your job application request, they look at your history, they check that a lot and say that, oh, this person has worked with some very good remote companies. So he has experience in working remotely. Even if considering your time zone, you'll be like, nah, let's take this guy because of, I think I've seen someone, they told him that normally they were not taken from this country, but after looking at his CV on LinkedIn, they found that he's used to working with remote companies and he got the job. So we need to really change that point from here on. Please, if you are going into this career, I know, yes, money has to be made, but once you follow some of the guidelines and rules, money will be the one looking for you at the end of the day, and you won't need to worry about that. So you guys, best of luck as the course proceeds. I really hope you guys have gained and enjoyed the session. And please be attentive. If you don't understand anything, ask questions. There's no such thing as a foolish question. Even as a product design, when you're practicing, don't be afraid to ask your stakeholders questions. Tell them to their face, I need to know this. Clarity is very important. So I'd like to appreciate those that contributed today. Every one of you, both were there in attendance, asked your questions, and yeah, if Dr. below, I think there's a name I'm missing. Karimat, I really appreciate you all, Peter, and the rest of you. I really appreciate you all for being in this session. And I wish you all the best. You can only go up. This is a very good learning phase for you. Learn what you can, read what you can, study, practice, always practice. I will encourage you guys to practice a lot. Practice make perfect. I mean, if you see people walking on the road, you're amazed about how they do it. It's practice. Rome was not built in a day. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, everyone. Please have a lovely weekend. Learn more, and I wish you all the best. Bye.